Welcome to this week's edition of the Inspired Parsha. And like every Parsha in the Torah, there's so many beautiful, rich ideas, especially in the Hasidic world. But I just want to focus on one. This week we have the incredible privilege to read through Parshas Chayei Sarah. It says in Bereshis, this is in Genesis chapter 24, verse 67, it says, "And Yitzchak brought into the tent of Sarah, his mother, and he took Rivka, and she became his wife, and he loved her, and Yitzchak was comforted after his mother." This was after Sarah Imenu, Sarah, our matriarch, passed away. Yitzchak obviously was in incredible pain. This was his beloved mother who had just passed away tragically, and he was filled with a lot of grief. And it says that when he took Rivka into his tent, it says she became his wife, and he loved her, and he was comforted after his mother. So one thing, just as a side note, that I want to point out is that it says she first became his wife, and then it says, and he loved her, meaning he loved her after they got married. So often in life we think, there's this whole love at first sight sort of thing. There's really no such thing as love at first sight. Love at first sight is basically lust. Love really is something that takes many years of growth, and it takes commitment, it takes a real relationship. He only really loved her after she became his wife. But getting back to the point, what happened over here? It says only after he brought her into the tent of Sarah, into his mother's tent, only then was he comforted. What was the significance? What happened in that tent, the tent of his mother, that now all of a sudden he was comforted? So the great Ishbitzer Rebbe, the author of the Meir Shiloach, he says something beautiful. The Ishbitzer Rebbe, by the way, was a very unique Hasidic personality, in some ways a little bit controversial, because he was a very much out-of-the-box thinker. He was the great disciple of Reb Simcha Banim of Peshischa. And actually this past week was Reb Shlomo Carlebach's Yurtzeit. Reb Shlomo Carlebach used to always quote from the Ishbitzer. He brought a lot of the Ishbitzer's Torah back into the world, so to speak. So it's a little bit fitting then to quote this idea. So he says, what was significant about going into Sarah's tent that suddenly he was comforted? So he quotes this beautiful medrash. There's a medrash that says that there were 3 miracles that occurred in Sarah's tent because of Sarah, because of her special presence, her holiness, so to speak. This candle burned from one Shabbos to the next Shabbos. The challah always stayed hot, stayed fresh. And a cloud of Shechina, the cloud of the divine presence, hovered over the tent. Those were 3 miracles that occurred in the merit of Sarah. But of course, after Sarah passed away, those 3 miracles went away. So the Ishbitzer says that the Medrash says that when Rivka, Yitzchak's new wife, came into this tent, those 3 miracles came back. Those 3 miracles reoccurred in the merit of Rivka. So now we can understand why was Yitzchak comforted. It wasn't just the miracles. This is what the Ishbitzer brings out. It wasn't just the fact that these miracles were restored. He saw that the woman he married had the same holiness, the same kedusha that his mother Sarah had. What do we see from this? The Ishbitzer says it so beautifully. He says, what do we see from this? We see that the key to building a beautiful Jewish home is to bring holiness into the home. Sarah was a holy woman. She brought holiness into her home. Rivka was a holy woman. She brought holiness into her home. So often we think that true holiness that's in the base medrash, that's in the study hall, that's in the shul, in the synagogue. Real holiness is in the Jewish home. The greatest privilege is to be able to bring holiness into your home. That's the greatest privilege that a Jew can have. Sarah brought holiness into her home. Rivka came and also brought holiness into her home. And that's why Yitzchak was comforted. He saw that his new wife, had the same holiness, the same kedusha that his mother Sarah had. I want to wish everyone, of course, a bracha. I always try to end off with a blessing. Everyone should bring some kedusha, some holiness into their homes. Wishing everyone here a wonderful Shabbos Kodesh. Thank you so much for listening.